Hi Virgos, it's Rebecca from Being Human Tarot here with your April 2019 reading. This month I'm sticking with the Smith-Rider-Waite classic deck because I'm just kind of feeling it. I still have a couple of other decks that I haven't read with, but I'd like to, I just want to use this one. Yeah, I don't need to explain myself, right? So as a reminder, I use a 3-card spread. I'm just going to get right into your reading. I've already shuffled and laid out your cards. In your first position of what to focus on for the month, you drew the 5 of Swords. And so like all fives, there's like a tension, there's a conflict. In the Swords in particular, it's the conflict of intellect and ego a bit, and specifically as it relates to other people. So it's not an inner battle, it's an external. I mean, like, it's clearly not an inner battle, right? So this month, you want to be careful with the things you say and how you say them. You want to make sure that you're not unintentionally or intentionally driving people away, because even if we're angry with someone and in that moment it's our intent to say something that gets back at them or, you know, be defensive or whatever, later on that might not be how we're feeling. And if we're having a lot of intense emotions in instance, we're not able to really objectively see how we feel about the situation overall when we're not so riled up. And so we could regret. I mean, like, it's just, you know, it's basic, like, basic sort of like better fighting and communicating, like 101, right? You just have to give yourself space rather than be angry in the moment. So much easier said than done, but still. So this is going to be your focus. It's tricky focus. It's, and you can see there's 2 people sort of pushed away there by this primary character's actions. And so the goal is to fight fair. And it's not only just about actual fighting, though. It's communication, because it's the Swords. And so you want to communicate and also listen, because listening is a huge part of effective communication, too. Not just the active talking, right? So make sure you're fitting that in this month. It's minor arcana, so it's not going to be like a huge like theme for the year or anything, and I don't think that it's going to be like an ongoing struggle, but this month it is coming up for you, and so for the moment it's something that you need to pay extra attention to. In your position of what to set aside, you drew the 5 of Cups reversed. Damn, Virgo, you drew another 5. I'm a Virgo, so I'm also kind of like, I mean, I know there's like no bad cards in tarot, but like drawing 2 5s isn't a great feeling. So, I hear you if that's a response that you had. But it's the 5 of Cups. I'm sorry, there's some background noise. It's inevitable with the parrot. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment. But, the 5 of Cups reversed in your set aside, though. So and I don't always read the cards like this when they're in your set aside, but when it makes sense to me and a card is reversed and in the set aside, it's acting as a double negative, so it just sort of like cancels it out and actually means sort of like what the card would mean upright. Which in this case, you're being invited to feel your feels. And in particular, your feels of kind of like depression. I mean, it's the depression card. It's also the grief card. So it could be grieving a particular loss. whether that's someone who is in your life and now isn't, or it doesn't have to be about a person at all. It could be the loss of anything, the loss of anything, the loss of a pet, the loss of a job. And I actually am trying to get away from using examples for some of these tougher cards because I think it's kind of alarmist, like I just read for Leo. Actually, Leo also pulled the Five of Swords, and but Leo pulled the Tower, and the Tower is a tricky one because I kind of want to give examples so it makes sense for people, but but then some of the examples sound terrifying, and those aren't the things that will necessarily come through for you. So I don't want it to be like sort of like a scary, unrealistic depiction of what could be going on for anyone. But I mean, you can see here the person, they've got the key thing to keep in mind for this card when it comes up is they're upset about these 3 spilled cups, right? But there's 2 cups behind them that they can't see. They're too focused on those 3 cups that they can't see actually what they still have left. So, you know, actually, I really love this card for that because it is such a good depiction of what we're going through when we're grieving, because it's impossible sometimes to see outside of what is very real pain. And so it's not saying, the message isn't, oh, who cares? Like, you're being kind of bratty. Who cares about that? Because you actually have this other stuff that you're just not appreciating. That's not the message. The message is, it is impossible to see those things when you are at a certain level of sadness and grief. But it's how we need to go through it. We have to go through it to kind of get to the other side. We can't just suppress that. It doesn't go away. So allow yourself to experience it this month. If you're feeling down, that's okay. Take the time if you need it. If it helps to be a little bit away from people more, take that time. If it helps to be with people more, then do that. But just be extra gentle with yourself this month. And yeah, because those fives are, it's work. You know, they're minor arcana, but it's still work. And in your position of additional considerations for the month, you do the Knight of Swords. So it's another swords card, and this is, I think, he's sort of like the craziest court card because he's so raring to go. Like, check out his face. He's going full speed ahead. And I think it's actually just kind of reinforcing what the Five of Swords is saying to you this month, which is, you know, be careful with your thoughts and how you express those thoughts. You don't have to go, I mean, even the horse is frightened, I feel like, by this knight. You don't have to go full speed. You don't have to charge someone to make your point. You can make your point very effectively, and actually more effectively if you take a step back and listen to the other person and then say what you have to say, even if that means waiting before you have the conversation. So if you need to be a little bit more, I know it's not in your reading, but if you need to be a little bit more like the Knight of Pentacles, where that knight is completely grounded and the horse is not moving, then like think of the Knight of Pentacles, because there's a time for a swiftness, right? Swiftness in communication. Sometimes you gotta like charge in and like take control of something and seal the deal, right? I am mostly thinking of like some theoretical like position of power in an office or something where someone's coming in and like closing the deal, which doesn't, I mean, like I don't have a job like that, but So anyway, that was just a long-winded way of saying that the Knight of Swords is not always some negative thing. It has a place, but based on your focus for the month, the two really tie in together, and it's just sort of so much background noise, so much background noise. It's just another message about staying on focus this month with your best communicating self. So that's your reading for April, Virgo. I know it wasn't like the lightest, but I hope that you found it useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I upload videos before the first of every month, and if you hit the bell icon after subscribing, you'll be automatically notified as soon as I do that. So that's it. Police siren. I hope you have a great April, as best as possible, you know, and that you'll join me again for May. Okay. Bye, Virgo.